Cool.
All right. So let's say I have a very good friend and he comes to me and says, "Hey, Bruno, I have 2 weeks to prepare. What should I do? I know nothing."
Okay.
Jones know about case interviews. And I say, "Okay, but I'm it's like those things in consulting firms that they do, like, oh, I'm on the airport and I'm catching a plane." You know, like they say, the partner's always on the airport catching a plane. I'm on the airport catching a plane. Go talk to Julio.
Yeah.
What's your plan?
Okay, so I'll divide, since you have so little time, I'll divide it into days.
Okay.
So you have 14 days rather than 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm going to have you in your first day do all of that learning of the dynamics and rules that I said that you need to learn about the complex skill that you're learning.
Okay.
So basically, I want you to do this in a simple way. I want you to watch case interview example videos.
Okay.
You can watch as many as you can that day, but if you're short on time or if you get tired, I do have 4 videos that I think are a good choice. So we have an article called Case Interview Examples, the 9 best in the internet or something like that.
Just look up on Google. Case interview examples, crafting cases.
Exactly.
Best source.
And
it's the best source because it's not just our cases. We actually got cases from everyone that does cases on YouTube. We've watched all of them. You've watched all of them. You filtered the best ones. You curated them. You made comments on how difficult is this interview compared to the real one? How realistic it is?
Yeah.
What did these people got wrong? What did these people got right?
Yeah, and how to best use those interviews as well.
Exactly. So that's the best source.
Yeah, and there are 4 specific cases. In that article, you should watch cases number 1, 4, 6, and 7.
Okay.
And that's day 1. We're going light on day 1. Then on days...
What should they get from these?
So what they should be doing in those cases is understanding what the interviewer wants from their questions. So do they want a 10, 20-minute long explanation? This is something people get wrong sometimes on, exactly how everything that you would do and an answer right away. Another thing that people get wrong is, do they want an answer yes or no? This is the most common for candidates who are just starting out. You'll ask them, should this company grow 200% in this year? Does that make sense? And they'll say, yes, growth is good or something. So it's understanding the parameters of a case interview.
Yeah.
And, since they're there, they can also give their answers to the questions that the interviewers make and see how different it is, to see how far off they are from actually understanding the feeling of the case interview.
So instead of just watching, pause the video when the interviewer asks a question and try to simulate what you would give as an answer.
Yeah.
It'll probably suck because it's your first day.
And it should suck.
But it will prepare you to absorb the rest of the learnings of the other 13 days better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. When you see yourself sucking, you're going to create the holes that we're going to fill in with new information and correct technique.
Yeah, good.
So this is day 1. It's only 4 videos because I want you to take a long time watching those videos and solving the cases. Then I'm going to have a big block from days 2 to 5. Days 2, 3, 4, and 5. In those days, I want you to do our free course.
Right.
The free course called Case Interview Fundamentals. It's in all of our online presence.
craftingcases.com/free course.
Or just craftingcases.com. Or just caseinterviewpodcast.com. And all of those, the free course is going to be popping right in their faces. Now, in that course, you're going to find how to answer what the questions are that an interviewer can ask you, how to answer them. You're going to find some quick practice, and you're going to be able to create your first diagnostic to what the skills that you're getting wrong are.
Can I contextualize a bit? Because I think a lot of people watching this video, specifically this podcast, or listening to this podcast, they're very, they don't know anything. They have little time.
Yeah, go on.
So when people say, oh, what are the types of cases you get? Usually they're referring to the first question. So entering a market, fixing a profitability problem, acquiring a company.
Yeah.
In our free course, we break it down differently. So we have 6 types of questions, but these are not like the initial questions. These are the questions that will happen throughout the case. So every case has an initial framework, or almost every case has one. This is one of the questions. And we teach how to create a framework regardless of the type of problem. If it's market entry, M&A, public sector, market exit, whatever. But this is one of the types of questions. Then there's like chart interpretation questions. There's quantitative analysis questions, brainstorming questions, and so on. And what this helps you do is it helps you always have a frame of reference, an anchor point, regardless of what happens in the interview. You have an anchor point. Oh, this is this type of question, and the technique to answer this is in 3 steps. I should do this, this, and this is risk-free.
Perfect. So that's great context, but there's a caveat. They shouldn't just take the course. 4 days is more than enough to just watch the minutes in the course.
Yeah.
What I really need this person to do is every problem that they see us give, they'll try to solve it, regardless of whether they have the techniques yet or not. So they'll try to solve the problem, and they won't just try to solve. Then they'll watch our question, our answer, and they'll compare the answers. They'll see what's different, and they'll try to understand why it's different.
But they will have the technique, right? Because the course has the technique, and then you have the practice drills afterwards.
Yeah, but we'll give examples in the techniques video, for example.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that they should use even the examples in the techniques videos as drills.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
They should try to solve every single problem that's mentioned. And while they're doing all this is something that's critical because they're so short in time. They should take notes on what they found hard, what was different, what they couldn't do. And they should take diligent notes because these notes are going to be super useful in just a little bit. Precisely on what they're going to do in day 6. So in day 6, they're going to take everything that they learned and practice, and they're going to do 2 mock interviews.
Okay.
They should probably schedule these beforehand, because if you get to day 6 and you try to find 2 mock interview partners, they're only going to be available on days 10 and 13, I guarantee.
Yeah.
And one of them's not going to show up.
And they can do this through their consulting club, through their, if they're in school, through their alumni network maybe, or there's plenty of websites. Prep Lounge is one of them.
Yeah.
Where you can schedule a mock interview.
Yeah, and Facebook groups. There are several ways.
That's true. Okay.
So they'll do 2 mock interviews. And in these mock interviews, they should... It's important that they try to reproduce the techniques that they learned in the free course. And it's also important that they'll take notes. They'll take a lot of notes from what they did wrong, from the feedback that they got, from where they couldn't apply the technique. And then on day 7, I'm going to give them a little bit of rest. So now they've spent a day watching all those videos, 4 days doing a course, 1 day doing 2 mock interviews.
You're too nice, Julio. You're giving rest to people who have 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah, they need rest.
Okay.
They need rest so that they can actually learn. But they're not only going to rest. It's not a Netflix day. They should take a look at the collective notes that they took over the last days, all of them, and try to understand, give a first guess of where their weakness is. What's hard to them? What are they doing that should be done differently? And that's going to be their focus from then on. So on days 8 and 9, they should do exercise focused on that weakness that they identified.
Okay, so practice drills.
Practice drills, exactly, but as specific as they can. So let's say that they figure out that they can't structure estimations.
Okay.
They can't create the structure for market sizings. So on days 8 and 9, they should do market sizing exercises, but mostly if they should do structuring exercises for market sizing.
Okay, can you give a few other examples?
Yeah, so let's say that they have trouble doing brainstormings, and specifically they have trouble with risk brainstormings. Okay. So they should take cases from casebooks, derive from those the risk brainstormings that they should have, like, after doing the solution to this case, this is the answer. And an interviewer will ask you, what are the risks of doing that? Okay. And then they can do that brainstorming. Okay. So very specific drills on the weakness that they found when going through their notes on their rest days.
Okay. I could give another example. Like if they have trouble interpreting multivariable charts,
Yes,
so not just the
perfect.
simple ones, but the very complex ones, they can look up online for charts like that and try to practice.
Yes, exactly. And then now they're done through days 8 and 9. On day 10, they're going to go test again. So they're going to do 2 more mock interviews, and they're going to take diligent notes again. And by the end of the day, they're going to look through their notes and identify what their weakness is now at this point. And whatever it is, could be the same one, because sometimes they won't be able to fix it in those 2 days, could be different ones. They'll identify that weakness. Next 2 days, 11 and 12, they're going to do focused exercises on that weakness. Day 13, they're going to do 2 more mock interviews. And then day 14, now this is a very important day because it's the day before their interviews.
Right.
On day 14, they rest.
Right.
And this is a real rest day.
Okay.
They're not going to be solving any problems. They're going to be moving their bodies, could be exercise, lifting weights, just walking, whatever exercise, yoga, whatever exercise they like. They're going to eat well, they're going to sleep well, they'll meditate if they're into that.
By eating well, you mean like hamburgers and ice cream, right?
A lot of hamburger and ice cream. People know what their eat well means. I'm not gonna give out nutrition advice in here. But eat well, sleep well, and exercise.
Sunlight, sauna, whatever helps them.
Yeah.
De-stress, lower than anxiety, have a great night of sleep.
Yeah. A great night's sleep is super important so that you can bring your A game to the interview regardless of what it is. This will bring in a lot more quality to your interview day than what you could learn in a single day. So on day 14, to me, this is a really important rest day.
Yeah, I see it's active rest, right? Because you're doing stuff. But the way I think about this, because a lot of people just overlook this advice, and I always made sure I'd give to our coaching clients, and I know how they react. Some of them just be like, yeah, I know. But the way I see it is your gains in terms of performance throughout the days as you prepare, they have lower marginal returns, right? So the difference between day 12 and 13 is much lower than between day 5 and 6. Yeah. So you could, if you prepared on the last day, improve like 3%, 5%, something like that. But the difference in your performance, your mood, your brain energy, your ability to connect with the interviewer, your ability to not get stressed and stuck, it may like decrease by a factor of 50%, 70% if you didn't take care of yourself in the day before. So this self-care day, let's call it that way, can double or triple your performance.
Yes, exactly. And now there's one thing that I didn't mention in this prep plan, and I think we didn't set the rules of the game well enough, so this isn't here. Okay. But do we want them to prepare for PEI in those 2 weeks?
If they're going through McKinsey, yes.
And FIT in general?
If they're going through other firms, they can prepare for like Y Consulting, Y BCG or Bain. Okay. Talk through your CV, but I don't think this needs more than a few hours of preparation, even like less if you're good with normal behavior interviews. Okay. PEI, you need stories, and you need to write down your stories, and you can find online advice on how to prepare for the PEI. It's out of scope for this video, but I'd say prepare 3 stories, 1 of each type. The gold standard is 2 stories of each type. There are 3 types, but you have 2 weeks. Yeah. So I'd say 3 stories, 1 for each type, and try to use some sort of framework, like the parade framework is fine to structure your story. And you could do better, but that's what you got, right?
Okay. All right.